Hi, my name's Gladyn Minzey, and I'm here today with doing a group interview with Miss Jackson and I, and our class is Social Work to Military, and our professor is John Sanborn. And today we're doing a group project. We're going to be interviewing David Elliott. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us about your military experience.
No problem.
Okay, so the first question is, how old were you when you joined the military, and what led up to you deciding to go in the military or the Army?
So initially, when I signed up for the military, I was 17. And at the time it was something called a delayed entry program. And the reason for me enlisting in the military was I got my then wife at the time pregnant, and I wanted to get my daughter out of that area. Wasn't the best living conditions, and a little dangerous, to be honest. So I enlisted. I didn't actually leave for basic till September 9th of 2004. Basic training's 9 weeks long, finished that, and then I went into AIT at Fort Gordon, Georgia, and that was about a 6-month process. At that time, that's where AIT, for those of you that don't know, they teach you your military occupation specialty. That is your job. I'm a computer guy, to say the least, so they'll teach you about servers, Active Directory, and basically how to take care of what you need to do once you're on the line. So got to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. That was my first duty station. Young private, rambunctious. I had a smart attitude, you name it, for a person or a teenager under the age of 21. But the job, let's go back to basic training. Basic training is meant to remove you from the civilian side and make you a soldier. As a civilian, it's all about me, what I can do for myself. In the military, it's all about a group effort. Everyone has to work together to achieve a goal. With that being said, so in basic, instead of one person messing up and that person just being punished, the whole platoon gets punished. So if I'm late to lunch formation, or I didn't pass a PT test or something along those lines, the entire platoon is punished. So not only are you pissing other people off, you're kind of going to you're going to self-correct, because peer pressure is definitely a motivator, to say the least. So fast forward, got to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Like I said, 19 years old at the time. I always had something to say. I had counseling statements, which is where you get written out there. I want to say they're 4856s. Because I would always have a response. I didn't know how to shut my mouth. And once I got that part under control, it was my, not verbal, my body language. So either I would, I'm not gonna say roll my eyes, just kind of like shrug my shoulders, something along those lines. So I started to get counseled for that. And I want to say it took me a couple years into the military to get that down pat. So anyway, got to Fort Campbell, and it was at height of the Iraq War. So everyone was packing up, training, signing for weapons, you name it. I deployed on my first deployment to FOB Spiker ended up being 11 months. That was Iraq. So that was 2005. When we first got there, there wasn't a lot of hard structure, so we were in tents. They had little AC units on the tent, and That's how they kept you cool or kept you warm, depending on, you know, what the temperatures were. When it rained, you would walk. I worked in what's called the D main. I worked for the general staff. So you have to walk all the way to work, probably like a mile and a half. And if it rained, you're bringing all that sand and mud into the building. Once you get into the building, then you got to worry about mopping it up, which is what all the privates and lower enlisted personnel did. How do I put this? In Kuwait, I'm back there before we got to Iraq, there was a good friend of mine. His name was Corporal Carlos Gonzalez, or at the time it was Specialist Gonzalez. He was so paranoid about dying. He was like, oh, I'm coming over here, I'm gonna die. And everyone was like, nah, nothing's gonna happen to you, you're gonna be fine. So he had double insurance, and you know, he's having issues with the wife, and so I'm gonna say probably 5 months into my deployment, I went on what's called R&R, and that's when you go home for about a week. I think it'll be like 7 to 10 days. You fly home, you rest, recuperate. During that time, I got a phone call. Or actually, it's when Yahoo Messenger was great. That's how you communicated back then. There was no Skype, it was Yahoo Messenger. So I got a phone call on Yahoo Messenger. One of the guys I worked with at the help desk, Gonzalez, had left the building, and he was on his way to chow, is what we could, basically going to eat, the dining facility, we call it chow, but going to go eat food. But he's waiting in front of the building, waiting on some girl, I forget what her name was, I believe she was a sergeant, I don't want to mispronounce her name, but a sergeant and her fiance. And a mortar came in, went through him, blew him up, killed her, and then blew off a portion of the fiance's leg. So of course I'm home, I'm devastated, I'm crying. I guess in my head I felt that if I were there, he would have been waiting in front of the D main on someone else, because I'm impatient. I'm like, let's go, we're not waiting on anybody, let's go. So that really hit me hard as my first death, and I think at that point, after I started to get over it, you know, years later, it seriously changed my view on death as a whole. I'm not gonna say it doesn't affect me as much, but it seriously changed my way. So if someone, case in point, a cousin of mine in New York got shot in the head. And I asked, okay, so the bullet came in, it came out, okay, did brain matter come out? Yeah, brain matter came out. He's done. Oh no, we're praying about it. I said, you can pray about it, but in reality, let's say his body does continue to function, what life does he truly have? So, but I look at things logically and go from there. Fast forward, went back to Iraq, you know, had a little ceremony, whatnot. And that factor is what drove a few of my friends together, and we did everything together from then on out. Got back from Iraq, and when you get back, there's this hangar on the airfield, and all the family members are out there. So you come down this jumbo jet, and everyone's waving and this and that. So that was cool. But once we got back, Corporal Gonzalez, his parents came down to see us, and you know, everyone explained to him, his mom and dad, you know, how much they really appreciated his son. He had this weird laugh about it. But she stays, I think what she does every year, I check her out on Facebook. She works with the Wounded Warriors. Has some type of sledding. I think it's on some mountain or whatnot, but some don't have legs, some have arms. And she assists with that, and they ski and snowboard and do all types of stuff. So she helps with that, and we keep in contact. Every year I'll change my Facebook profile to her son's picture, so she doesn't think that we forgot about him. But he died in 2005. Got back at the time, I was a specialist, so at this time I'm in the Army about 2.5 years. I didn't do the full 12 months because I was selected to become the webmaster for SharePoint. And SharePoint's basically a Microsoft product where you can collaborate. You can post files, pictures, whatnot, and you come to a central source. If you're looking for HR resources, it would be there. If you're looking for supply stuff, it would be there. So I was selected to do that, came back, got some training. 10 months later, I don't want to lie, 11 months later, we left to Afghanistan for 15 months. At this time, I believe I was promotable to the rank of sergeant. So we get to Afghanistan, and the Army at this point, the DOD at this point is stretched thin because you're trying to support. They have Kuwait, they have Korea, which has been there forever, and they have Germany. Cool. Not really too much of a threat, but you're trying to man 2 wars, Iraq and Afghanistan. And, divisions like the 101st and 82nd, it's like every other year they're deploying. You're home, you're trained, and then you're gone. You're home, you're trained, and you're gone. So that takes a toll on your family. At this point, I'm already used to it, I'm like, all right, gotta go. I'm working with you. When you're deployed, you work 12+ hour shifts. So I'm doing that, I'll call my family when I have time. But other than that, the mission is first. That's, I guess you can call it brainwashed, institutionalized, whatever you want to call it. But that's the way I felt. Mission first, we got this going on, we got to finish it, and, we got to do what we got to do. That deployment was not, I'm not going to say bad. The bad part about a 15-month deployment is once you hit the 12-month mark, continue to have that motivation to go further. So yeah, they give you an incentive, they pay an extra $1,000 a month, but that's still 12 months. You're in it was called the B hut. So we're no longer in tents. We're in this B hut, it's this structure that's made of wood. They have an AC unit, I want to say, on both sides. And in there, I'm going to say there are 8 rooms. So the rooms, I don't know, maybe 4 by 4. I don't know dimensions, but it's pretty small. But you got your own little area, you got your little door. But the problem with the wooden B huts were the electrical, someone catching on fire, because being deployed, you have to go buy things from the local national, the Afghanis or whatever. So they'll come on base to what's called the bazaar. The bazaar, you can get movies that they got from who knows where. You can buy little pottery deals. You can buy dominoes, cards. You can buy pretty much anything. And Iraq, the Postal Service sucked, but by the time we were in Afghanistan, Amazon, all these people were finding ways to get things to military bases. Yeah, it would take you about 2 to 3 weeks to get it, but you can still get it. Since I knew I was going to be there for 15 months, I bought a TV. I had my little TV, I had my PlayStation, I had my little setup. I went to the bazaar, I bought a little carpet for my room, a blanket. It looked really nice. But, number one job, supporting the guys, me being a IT guy and working for the commanding general and his staff, they had oversight of the battlefield. At the time, Afghanistan wasn't broken down into major commands where multiple generals or commanders controlled it. It was that 1 2-star general that controlled all battle spaces in Afghanistan. So it was very, very imperative that he could pull in ISR feeds, which is, an ISR feed is feeds coming in from a drone. He could communicate. The ground force, or the infantryman or whoever, special force, whoever you want to call it, whoever is out there needs to be able to communicate back so that decisions can be made. If they're in danger for helicopters or fixed wing assets, which are the Air Force, for them to be launched to go support them and ultimately kill the enemy before the enemy kills them. But coming home, the first time wasn't bad. The second time, I walked into divorce, so that kind of threw things for a spin. But now that I look back at it, separation will take its toll on any relationship, no matter what. Could have been handled differently, but separation will always take its toll. The military is not for everyone. So I went through my divorce, and it hit me. I handled things differently. My brother, on the other hand, took to using what was called, I think it was called spice. And he already had some type of mental issues, I believe. I'm not a doctor, so I cannot diagnose him. So he took to taking spice to cope with whatever he was going through. And spice, from what I was told by military doctors, will completely fry your brain. So now, because he couldn't handle that, his wife had cheated on him, and he was getting divorced, and he felt that he had no purpose in life. If he couldn't support his family and his son, he had no purpose, and that's it. But he was always the one ready to fight. He was always the one, the tough guy, this and that, when in reality he was mentally weak. But anyway, he took to his substance. It completely fried his brain, and now he lives, his life in La La Land, as I would like to say. And he's not the only service member that does. There are many service members that just should not have been in the military. But when the Army needs people to do a job, it gets to a point where they even let criminals in. And I'm not going to say criminal, you killed someone that made a minor mistake in their past, and they let them in. However, you are restricted to certain jobs that you can do. So cooking, infantryman, and whatever. However, it's a body. That's the way the military looks at it. The military is the big green machine. It will chew you up and it'll spit you out. And I can only speak for the Air Force, the Army, per se. From what I've heard, the Air Force cares more about their people. And it really depends on how you look at it. The Army is 5 times, 10 times bigger than the Air Force. The Air Force only has a little bit of people. So if all you have to manage is 50 people, that's hypothetically speaking, you only have to manage 50 people versus 50,000. That's a huge difference. You only have so much money. And the Air Force, your job is to be in the air, transport, shoot people out the sky and deliver bombs to the ground. That's your primary focus. That's where most of the funding is going to go. The Army, your number one role is ground combat. So your tanks, your helicopters, your infantrymen, that's what your funding is going to go to. And there's so many of you that you can't put everyone in a Taj Mahal. So what's the priority? As time goes through a deployment, yes, you do get better living conditions, but that's going to take some time. It's going to take some money, and it has to be the focus. So, okay, let's take Afghanistan. Everything's great in Afghanistan right now as far as living conditions. They've shut down a lot of bases. Wherever you're at, it's hard structure. However, where's the war now? We got Iraq again. Got stuff going on in Syria. So I'm quite sure the people that are over there fighting that fight are probably back in tents. So it's just a repetitive cycle. And that's about it for the overview.
How about the training? Was it really rigorous, or was it intense training, and how long about was that?
So training, are you talking about basic training?
Yeah, like basic training.
Okay, basic training. You're accustomed to, as a civilian, getting up at, 10, 11 o'clock, if you don't have to work, 12. Basic training is there to, like we spoke about earlier, unite you. So you are getting up at 4:30 in the morning. You have to be, at first you're going to mess it up and you're going to get smoked. And what smoke means is they're going to exercise you or make you do push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, till your body just can't take it anymore. So they call it smoked. That's what they will do. So when you first get there, the first 2-3 weeks are going to be really rough because you have yet to work or learn how to work as a team. So, all right, you got to get out of bed by 4:30 in the morning. There are times I really didn't want to get up, but I knew that if I wasn't up, what the repercussions would be. So you have to be, I want to say, for a bay of about 40 guys, you have to be, they call it shit, shave, and shower, but basically you use the restroom, you shave, brush your teeth, you shower, all that has to be done within about 10 to 15 minutes, roughly, if I remember correctly. So just imagine, you're basically throwing soap on, rolling out, brush your teeth, getting ready, and then once everything's done, all your wall locker has to be what they call dress right dress. So there's a certain standard. They want your uniforms a certain way. They want your socks in a drawer a certain way, straight, fold up right, in order, neat, dress right dress. Once everything's ready for inspection, come at 4:30, 5 o'clock, you'll toe the line. So there's a big square in the middle of this thing. And you'll stand there at the position of attention. The drill sergeants will walk in, and they'll start going through inspecting. And if anybody's stuff's jacked up, they will take a whole walk. Well, they won't move the whole walk, but they'll start throwing stuff into bins. And you have to fix it.
Can you tell me a little bit about your transition from military to civilian?
I've been out of the military now 2 years. I did 10 years and 4 months. And it's been rough. The thing that helps me out is I'm still working on post. I'm still around my guys. So it helps me transition. You know, I still feel that I'm contributing to the fight, but I do miss being in the military. It's going to take me some time to comprehend civilians in the way that they do things. Me, I want to, here's the mission, here's what we got to do, here's how we're going to target it, you know, go from there. But, you know, civilians are a lot me, how can I get to the top, how can I do this, how can I do that? No. That just doesn't jive well with me. So, right now, I'm still stuck working on post. I like it. It's not the same because I don't have the uniform on. A lot of people are upset that I got out of the military. It's that we went far. I was burnt out. I was going on 200 plus days out of the year, you know, deployed all the time, and it just took its toll. I think if I would have went somewhere for a year and reset, I would have been fine, but that's not the direction that I chose. Neither there nor here.
Okay, so are you considered a vet or a service member?
I'm considered a veteran. Service members or people that are on active duty. So if you're active Air Force, active Army, active Navy, Coast Guard, etc. But yes, I am considered a veteran.
Okay, and could you share some of your medals and?
Oh yeah. So here are just a few awards that I received being in the military. They don't really mean anything to you. If someone else sees it, like, okay. But this one right here, the Army Achievement Medal, and it reads, Department of the Army, this is certified that the Secretary of the Army has awarded the Army Achievement Medal to Sergeant David Elliott, to HHC 1st Battalion, 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment Airborne, for meritorious achievement as an S6 non-commissioned officer assigned to the HHC 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. Sergeant Elliott's contributions and commitment to excellence were vital to the unit's no-fail mission through his efforts in creating a web-based system for air requests. His performance, competence, and dedication to duty reflect great credit upon himself, 1st Battalion, 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, and the United States Army. Period, 19 May 2011. Signed, Lieutenant Colonel Michael J. Kurtzendorf. You know, the Army has a lot of awards, AAMs, ARCOMs, joint awards start with a J, so this is a joint award right here that I got. So it's a Joint Service Commendation Medal, also referenced as a JCOM. A JCOM is something that you can get only when you are working in a joint environment. Joint meaning Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, or Army, Air Force, whatever, but more than just your service branch. And this was for, let's see, it reads, Sergeant David L. Elliott, United States Army, distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious achievement as a logistic operations sergeant for a joint task force in support of Operation Enduring Freedom from 1 April 2010 to 10 July 2010. During this period, Sergeant Elliott continually demonstrated his extraordinary ability to effectively manage the forward operating base logistics requirements and ensured that the base was always able to perform any and all operational requirements. The distinctive accomplishments of Sergeant Elliott reflect great credit upon himself, United States Army, and the Department of Defense. So this particular award that I received was out of my job scope. I'm a computer guy, however, we were in a small location and someone needed to do logistics, bringing people in, bringing people out, getting equipment in, getting equipment out onto C-130s, which is what the Air Force flies, and also C-17, but C-130s normally fly from site to site. Yeah. Here's another Army Achievement Medal for a exercise of doing SharePoint stuff. There's others, I have tons of awards, but those are just a few. So the Army tends to, I'm not going to say reward you, but show you that you're doing kind of a good job by handing you out coins. So I received many coins in my day. This one right here is when I was in Iraq. I don't know if one of their generals or whatnot gave me that, but see that. This one right here, I think I received from it was the 501st Special Troops Battalion. This is when I was in G6 on the general staff. So it's pretty cool, you know, have the unit insignia, 101st Airborne Division. Got the colonel rank, the command sergeant major rank on the back. This one right here was, I believe, Afghanistan. I think it was one of the either the medics or their flight detachment. This one I got from the commander, 2-star general of the 101st Airborne Division. I don't know what I did, but apparently I'm doing something. That was right. Same thing, another coin from the 101st. One probably came from the colonel, one probably came from the sergeant major. In Afghanistan, we went from transitioned from the 101st to 82nd. It's called TOA, basically a transition of command. So we were leaving, 82nd was coming in, and their sergeant major gave me this coin, 82nd Airborne Division. Another coin I got from Afghanistan, don't quite remember who gave me that. This one right here, Rendezvous with Destiny. This is also from the 501st Signal. Probably from the sergeant major or the colonel. Coins transition from time to time. I was there for 5 years, so new coins. This right here, it says the Marine Corps' birthday. I don't quite remember why I got this coin, but anyway. Let's see right here. RC East, another 82nd, a 1-star general gave me this coin. And let's see, what was this right here? Charlie Company. So, another 101st coin from Afghanistan. And last but not least, is probably my favorite plaque. I spent 5.5 years in the 160th. The 160th, if you don't know, is a unit. I don't know if you've seen the movie Black Hawk Down. They are the Special Operations Aviation Unit for the Army. So they do some really cool stuff. So everyone knows I love little birds. And a little bird, you have an assault helicopter, you can see here, that can shoot missiles off of it and has a minigun. Then you have what's called an MH, where you can have 2 assault guys here and 2 here, and these little helicopters can land on top of buildings, land on tops of trains,
on boats, put the Navy SEALs in the water, you name it. They can't go as far, but they're fast and they do what they do. Anyway, so here's a couple coins. I got one from HHC. This one from a 3-star general in Afghanistan. This one I received from a commander at JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command. Here's one for, the battalion I work for, which was Attachment 160th. I believe this was another one, Afghanistan. So the colonel gave me this one, the sergeant major. And just to backtrack, the sergeant major responsibility is to handle all enlisted personnel. The colonel or the officer, battalion commander or whatnot, his responsibility is overall, the entire unit or the battalion or the brigade. His job is to handle all, but the enlisted personnel is an enlisted guy, and the sergeant major is who I fall under. The colonel still has overall say-so. This is a special unit within the 160th called the Row. Got a coin for that, and here's my Little Bird coin right here, 6-pack, and Alpha Company 1/160th. But since I'm a nerd, they put this in binary, so it has 01010111. And basically, what this says is presented to Staff Sergeant David Lee Elliott. From the men of the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment Airborne Communications Section. David, your attitude and work ethic are things of legend. There was never a day that you showed up on time, but there was never a day that you weren't the last one to leave. In most people's eyes, you single-handedly could stand up a network and make all the radio guys look bad. But we all know that you knew you could have done it without us. You always come through when things get rough, and for that we thank you. Good luck in your future endeavors. Godspeed. Night Stalkers don't quit.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service. Appreciate it.